I don't like that it's a smaller screen, and I don't quite remember if it's like a higher power or higher resolution screen. I did hear that it was a higher resolution screen, but it's also smaller.
Yeah.
And so that was like, oh, but it's, you know, more detailed but smaller.
Mm-hmm.
I still prefer the larger screen, me personally. My on-the-go gaming is almost non-existent now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really enjoy
the Switch.
Even with a bigger iPhone, I still have a hard time with how
it.
big my hands are covering most of the screen when I play anything.
So with you already having a Switch, do you have a Switch?
I have a Switch.
Okay. If they had come out with a bigger one, you would buy it?
I think most people are trying to usher me towards buying a pro controller, and I just wasn't in that boat. I just knew that I would only be playing 30 minutes at a time.
Right.
I never went in to get the pro controller.
So the people with opposite problems who have smaller hands,
they're probably ecstatic.
Kids
especially, parents. Like, so for you, I would imagine, let's say
I got good hands.
Is he wants his own Switch so he can play with brother.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, cool. Well, instead of spending another $300, I'm just going to spend $200 now, you know, and it's, you know, more durable. There's not like, if you lose one Joy-Con, you've lost the accessibility for the Switch altogether.
It's true.
Now they have to lose like half a mouse pad. Like, I can see that thing being a great opportunity for kids, and the color schemes that they went with, huge seller for kids. Huge seller for kids. I can see that being the primary market. Yeah, in my opinion,
they're very smart. We all know that they're working on their next console, but I don't know if they should move. They always try to innovate their consoles into a new way to play. I feel like they need to stick to this type of model here.
I think the Switch has a lot of life in it, especially since we knew since the Wii that they weren't going to compete in the graphic fidelity arms race. Yeah. The Switch is now respectable in those terms. Like, I've seen like top level games on the Switch, and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Especially when it's like small in front of your screen. It's beating what I feel like an iPhone experience would be. Yeah. So they can hold that market down for a while before feeling like, okay, you know, we're 10 years behind now. We need to do a new version of the Switch.
Exactly. I think a Switch 2
way too soon.
Would be too soon, but if they were to update it, right, you just innovate from that model, like a handheld version, and just upgrade the graphics and just stick with that, because they are in a lane of their own. Yeah. The mobile market will never transition into a controller-based gameplay, right? And Stadia is nowhere near it. I mean, I think Stadia is already dead in the water.
Oh man, yeah,
like dead upon arrival with their pricing model. So I think the Switch is completely, again, created their own user base. No one's interested. We already know where Xbox and PlayStation is going with their next console. They are enjoying this place that they created their own. And I think they need to just stick with the Switch for another few years, and then when the PlayStation 4 chips falls down from the factories, they can put it back into the Switch too. Which is very smart. I think they're the only console that actually day one is profitable.
In a while, yes. It's been a while since I've known
But their motto is always like 5 years behind in tech from the other consoles. I mean, 2 years, right? 2-3 years.
I would say in visual fidelity, yes, right? Yeah. Like, I would say where they graphically represent themselves, I've always felt like Nintendo's been good enough. Yeah. Excuse me. The Wii wasn't good enough to me, but it offered leaps and bounds worth of gameplay experiences that I couldn't play or get anywhere else because of their Wii controllers, and like how they were starting to innovate and actually bring me and my movements into the game, which was a first. So that was the huge selling point, which makes up for, but the games look like really bad. You know what I mean? And so Switch still has a bit of that, which is like with the Joy-Con controllers, how you're holding them, with the Labo stuff, the way that the console is like allowing itself to be interacted with
very
like
smart.
Actual new, like what do you call them? Peripherals? Like the cardboard peripherals. So much more could be expanded down that lane where it's just like, man, this console has a lot of opportunity. Yeah. I feel like. So I don't think they need to change anything anytime soon, just because people want to see it prettier. They're always going to want to see it prettier.
Yeah, I mean, their games lend to be stylistic. Yeah. So I don't see an issue with any of their needs to be. They're at a point where their graphics are fine. Yeah. Like the only times that we kind of squint, but even now, the third-party games that are going on, like Doom or something, they look pretty good. Yeah. Right.
And if it's done right, you can actually push the power of the Switch and do something really fantastic looking. Yeah. I would say I have gripes with Breath of the Wild, but I also, as a developer, understand Breath of the Wild is like stylized,
Yeah.
and it's also a huge open world where like some of the draw distances, depending on where you're standing, are quite large. And even with culling strategies, you might have a lot of stuff just on the screen at once. Whereas if you have a more intimate experience, you know, hallways, tunnels, corridors, large rooms, but not large open vast playscapes, you can probably do so much more with the Switch. I mean, I was playing Mario Odyssey before Jenny went to Texas with her, and we were playing it on her 4K TV big screen, and I remember just sitting there like, damn, actually this game was 60 frames, right? And it looked good. It was fantastic. It was a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, the computer hardware nowadays is not, it's way past PlayStation 2 days. You're basically dealing with the PlayStation 3.5 technology, right? With the Switch, and you can get a lot out of that with how their games are. So Nintendo's in a great place. I mean, they're making moves pretty much in a non-competitive arena, and people are gonna buy a lot of the Lite for people who have been holding out, or additionally for their kids, and so they're gonna make money. Very smart price model. Whoever decided years ago to go the opposite route of PlayStation, Xbox. It needs like a Lamborghini along with their bonuses, because they were teased at that point, right? I remember press and everybody was like, "Oh, they're not even showing up E3 anymore, so they're not even trying." But you know,
it's too early to like ever call Nintendo out or dead, because Nintendo leaps and bounds as far as innovation and creativity go. I feel the most genuine developments happen there, and I've seen the most fast follow, like Wii 2. With Sony, Microsoft. Right?
I forgot about the Wii too.
Yeah, well, they're like, or I meant like us also, not Wii too. They're like, oh, we have the Move controllers. Like, oh, we've got the Kinect, and we've got the PlayStation Eye or whatever. Because the Wii was killing it. You know what I mean? They had no plans to do any of that stuff until they saw the Wii. Like the shitty looking graphics console outselling them significantly. Wii Sports, like the free game that came with Wii, was like one of the highest video game sales on eBay, because people kept buying the disc. Like, oh my God. Yeah, the Wii was a period of, oh man. Anyway, so Switch Lite. Here's what I can say are the good things. I like that it's easier to fit in the pocket. It's better for on the go. Sure, I'm going to throw myself out of this. Smaller size, I'm sure there's a lot more people who are like, they could care less because the other one wasn't too big or wasn't too small. And so knowing that this is smaller and more portable, okay, awesome. I'm hoping that the battery life is going to be better. I don't know for sure. I'm just hoping. And I could be wrong on that, though, because
it's smaller.
The Joy-Cons had their own power supply, and then the Switch unit itself had its own power supply.
I don't think it's going to be longer.
Now it's all three combined into one, so... And then there's less space for a battery, so maybe the battery power isn't.
It should be
but
less.
It's a smaller screen. So who knows? I'll go look at that. I'll look that up in the phone in a second. The other thing for me is there's a lot of people who didn't adopt the Switch, who I can see adopting Switch Lite, who are going to have access to something like 1,800 games. Like how many Switch games are there's a ton of Switch games.
I don't think it's
like,
1,000.
No, including the indie stuff and the box stuff.
Sure.
There's a shit ton of Switch games that you guys can start playing like right away. And you only paid $199 for the console. I think now is a great time to be introduced to Switch, because there's Mario Tennis is out, Mario Odyssey is out, Mario Kart is out, Zelda is out. Those 4 games alone, you know what I mean, will carry you through the rest of the summer. And all of them are selling significantly less than the original MSRP.
Yeah, I think their strategy is really sound. It's hard to say anything bad about them. They're doing great. So, yeah, go buy a Switch if you haven't already.
I think it's worth checking out. My one thing for me, though, is like one of the benefits that I always thought was cool about the Switch was like setting it up on its little dock and then having the controller in my hand.
Yeah, not being able to kind of separate the joysticks and then playing with a friend.
So now you're always going to do...
That's a huge feature that's for $100,
Yeah, it feels very individualized.
You can still link up, of course.
Yeah, local multiplayer still good.
But yeah, that is an aspect if I have one on a bus. Or somewhere.
Like if we're playing those micro games where we set the monitor and then each one of us has a small controller, that part of it.
That commercial that we made fun of when they're like at a party and they were playing the Switch. People actually do that. That was people who have a Switch, they just
Bust it out.
And separate the controllers, and we play 2-player games.
Yeah. Overcooked. Oh, God, I love that game.
Yeah. So it is interesting to see if that loss of a huge feature, in my opinion, will sway people away from that. But I think people who are going to buy the Switch and they already strategize for this is that they're not going to buy the original Switch, right? Yeah.